This is the Hollywood Outside, our weekly entertainment podcast, where this week we're going to look at upcoming releases, including Red Dawn and Rise of the Guardians. We're going to have a spoiler-free review of Skyfall, our From the Outside In topic this week. What Hollywood has-beens deserve another shot on the big screen. Then we're going to have the latest in movie and TV news. As always, our own trivia and flashback DVD segments, including those that guessed last week's What's This Movie correctly, as well as our Recasting the Classics segment. My name is Aaron Peterson. With me today are my fellow host, Justin McCumber.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Fantastic. Brian Williams.
Hey, what's up, bud?
Well, I'm doing a podcast right now. And Scott Clark.
Hey, what's shaking, brother?
Not much. Justin McCumber just found out that his new book comes out December 3rd, so congratulations.
Thank you, sir. I'm hoping that this one will be a bigger success than the first one.
What's the title again? So people can look at it.
It's called A Minor Magic.
Just in time for Christmas, kids. So
that's right.
Knock yourself out. Is it available on Amazon yet?
Not yet, but as soon as it is, I will let everybody know. But it will be available in print and in ebook.
Excellent. And thanks to everybody who voted for us for the podcast awards. We will know a little bit more in a couple more months. So if we win, we'll be sure to let you know. And if we lose, we will probably keep that to ourselves.
You know it.
I don't know. I plan on blaming our listeners pretty viciously.
Wow. Bring the love.
There will be tongue lashings.
Bring the love.
And not the good kind.
We also are going to host a screening because Scott begged for Christmas Vacation. So if you live in the Chicago Rockford area, look at the website, thehollywoodoutsiders.com. We're going to have a special screening. We're going to have prizes for worst Christmas sweater. So that'll be fun.
That will be fun.
Also, before we get moving, Channing Tatum won the Sexiest Man Alive today. So apparently my vote got lost in the mail because I don't understand. Nothing? No. You can't go for it. You got that Movember pedophile mustache thing going on. So, okay, movie news. First things first. Michael Bay. This is Transformers. There's been several Transformers bits throughout the week. First off, he cast Mark Wahlberg in the lead role for Transformers 4. So congratulations, Marky Mark. And he says the series is going to go in a bold new direction 4 years after the last film, and filming starts in the spring for a June 27, 2014 release.
When I first heard this, I wasn't sure whether I should be excited or not. They're definitely trying. It sounds like they're going to go in a more action-packed, and given how actiony the first three were, saying going even more action-packed might sound almost unbelievable. But considering that they're getting rid of the LaBeouf and replacing him with someone like Mark Wahlberg, who, is never going to make the top list of anyone's great thespians of the world. But the guy's a pretty good action star. And I think this is a good sign that they're hopefully going to get rid of some of the childish shenanigans that the first films got up to and really take this in a bolder, darker direction. Because they're, in the cartoons, it's kind of hard to go dark because you've got all these bright colors. Even though the animated movie had some pretty dark moments, emotionally speaking, I think in this series, given the look of these Transformers and just kind of how grindy, geary, vicious-y looking they can be, you could really take this in a pretty dark and vicious direction. I'm hoping that's what they're going to do, or at least just get away from the Bumblebee peeing on people and Shia running around, screaming. So I'm going to take this as a good sign. I really am.
I just don't want any more racist rapping robots. That's what I don't want.
I was never offended by those, but if they were not there, I would be just fine with that.
I just thought it was kind of stupid.
But I like the Transformers films, so knowing I'm going to get a fourth one does make me pretty happy.
I agree with you, Justin, on the bold new direction, hopefully being more serious and more dark. But I find that it's going to be hard to do with a story about giant robots coming from space.
They're dark robots. They're angry. They didn't get a lube job, something like that.
No, see, that's where they've gone with it up till now. I've been done with the series since the second one. Just the goofy stuff like that totally turns me off. Robots with testicles and.
I just want to be able to determine which robot is which. You never know what's going on, who's who, that kind of stuff. Just make them tweak the designs slightly to where each character is more distinguishable. That's all I ask. I don't, whatever.
It doesn't sound like they're going to go to another planet, though. It sounds like they're going to stay on Earth.
Yeah.
I would maybe by the end of the series or the next 3 films, maybe they'll open some door to Cybertron. That would be awesome.
It would be.
Omnicron and all those others.
Let's move on.
Unicron.
George Clooney is in talks to star in a secret sci-fi pick for Disney. It's written by Damon Lindelof of Prometheus fame, and it's going to be directed by Brad Bird, who did Mission Impossible: The Ghost Protocol. It's tentatively titled 1952, and all that is known about it is that it's in the vein of Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah, obviously 1952 is a code name just so they can kind of keep it under wraps. But as far as I'm concerned, Clooney and Disney together, I'm on board. I don't care what it is. It could be another silent film for all I care.
We know Justin is.
Oh, God. George Clooney, Damon Lindelof, Brad Bird, my geek nipples are so hard. You could cut glass.
You don't even need a
It's
description.
filthy.
I mean, yeah, but, they've already relaunched and really still relaunching a lot of previous works like Pirates of the Caribbean, Lone Ranger, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. They've got coming up sometime soon, a few others. But do you guys think this is a kind of another reboot, relaunch, retelling?
No, I think it's something new. I think it's original.
I think it's a totally fresh, original idea.
Yeah, I don't think. I honestly, because Brad Bird and Clooney are involved, I don't think either one of them would take a property that was a remake like that.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind seeing that property revisited again, though. Close Encounters. When's the last time?
But they're not going to touch Close Encounters.
No. I'm not saying, but in the vein of it. When's the last time we've had a "Hey, aliens might be real" movie?
Super 8. Super 8.
Yeah,
there you
Super 8. That's true.
E.T. was a semi
Done
sort
by
of
Spielberg.
sequel to Close Encounters.
go. That's true. Saw and Insidious director James Wan is in talks to helm a big screen adaptation of MacGyver, the 80s action show about a guy who refused guns and essentially made bombs out of paper clips and Twinkies.
Thanks for getting that song stuck in my head all day, by the way.
Oh, that song is awesome. I hope they play that because it's so bad.
You can't not play that song if this movie gets made, but I'm not so sure about this because that series, I loved it as a kid. It was great. But that seems like something that would be better as a TV show in short little doses as opposed to a 2-hour movie. Because, I mean, each show was about what gadget he made or how he made something work and made a potato bomb out of all this and that.
Potatoes?
Paper clips and...
Potatoes and baking powder.
Paper clips and Twinkies, man. I'm telling you, he can make a nuclear device out of that shit. That show was fantastic. I think you can make a good movie out of it. You can make a series out of that, I'm sure.
Just like, 2 hours of a series of him making all sorts of stuff.
Dude, have you seen a James Bond movie, which we're going to talk about later? He has lots of little gadgets. Same thing, except he makes them out of home items. Like stuff
So
you
his cue, the Piggly Wiggly?
Yes.
Hey, don't be knocking the pig, man.
Do you guys want to see it? I'm really excited about it. I've been wanting a MacGyver movie for a long time.
really.
Oh, if it happens, I'll watch it, but I'm worried that it would work.
Did you see
I've
just
never
think-
seen an episode of MacGyver in my life.
Really?
Never cared for it. My wife loved the show, but I've never seen it, never cared. His mullet and the premise of the show just for some reason always kind of turned me off.
I just think it's just one of those nostalgia things that it's just never going to be quite as good as the original. Even when you watch the original, it's kind of bad. It's dated. It's not as good as what you remember it.
I was going to say.
I just think it's one of those things that's better left in the vault with the rest of the 80s stuff and find something else to redo.
Well, I'm just glad they're not listening to you because I want to see it.
Bring back Airwolf.
Fuck Airwolf.
Riptide, that big
I
helicopter
liked
with the mouth
Riptide.
on it.
I liked Riptide a lot. I don't know why.
My God, my wife's new ringtone is Simon and Simon.
I love Simon and Simon.
So does she.
Your wife is awesome.
And I get to fucking hear it.
Your wife is awesome. She likes MacGyver and Simon and Simon.
Yes.
I'd keep her. A couple of casting tips. Eric Bana is in talks for Beware the Night. It's a paranormal police thriller from Scott Derrickson, who did Sinister, about a New York cop fighting demon possessions and exorcisms, as well as Kit Harington, that's Jon Snow on Game of Thrones, is in talks for Paul W.S. Anderson's Pompeii about the famous city destroyed by a volcanic eruption.
This Beware the Night sounds cool. I mean, I am always up for movies about demons, exorcisms, all that kind of shit. For some reason, I get whiffs of Constantine with this, but if they're going to take it in a more serious kind of gritty real world direction as opposed to something overly supernatural and all sorts of special effects involved, I think it would be a more fun movie. And I guess I shouldn't say fun, a more interesting film, especially if they try and make the horror actually horrific and not just an excuse to put some special effects on the screen, but really show some of the shit like what we saw on that trailer for the remake of Evil Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Make evil. I mean, don't fucking pussyfoot around. Make it really dark. That's what I'm hoping to see with this one. But as far as this Pompeii goes, it's interesting because I was reading the article on it, and they were talking about how the whole story of this movie is, Jon Snow, or the guy who plays Jon Snow, Kit Harington, is going to be playing a slave who works on a trader's ship, a trading ship, and he's in love with his master's daughter and is planning on marrying her, but suddenly she's promised to someone else, and he's being sold off. And so the whole movie is about him trying to get to her while the fucking volcano's going off. And I kept thinking, this is Titanic with a volcano. And halfway through the article, it says the director also drew comparisons to James Cameron's Titanic. I'm just so not interested in this. The explosion of the volcano, I will want to see that. All the running and I'll save yous, don't leave me's, hang ons, fuck that shit.
Can you picture Jon Snow at the top of the volcano with his arms outstretched? Just, oh.
Well, I'm sure in this it'll be more of a not a loincloth, but a much more pared down
toga.
A toga, as opposed to layers of fur upon fur. I don't know. I guess they want to make it, and I'm sure there's this audience out there for it who's younger than me and hasn't seen every other iteration of this sort of thing. Though now that I'm kind of thinking about it, it does make me a bit of a hypocrite, given how much I loved Avatar, and everybody kept saying, "Well, that's just a remake of blah 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 blah." I'm kind of saying the same thing now about this, and so yeah, I am a.
Don't worry, Justin. You've been a hypocrite many other times. It's okay.
My wife would completely agree with you.
Finally, enough rumor bullshit. We actually have confirmed news. The Academy Award-winning writer Michael Arndt, who wrote Little Miss Sunshine, is locked in to write the screenplay for Episode 7 of Star Wars.
I love Little Miss Sunshine. I think it's one of those great movies that kind of flew under the radar. But, he also did Toy Story 3, which was pretty good. And he's also wrote the newest Hunger Games movie that's due out next year. So, I mean, there's not a whole lot to go on at this time. So I'm kind of holding reservations on till we see a little bit more. I don't know. The guy, apparently he's a pretty hot property, so kind of got to give him a little bit of credit, I guess. But it's one of those things. There's not enough to go on to really determine if this is a great idea or not, or at least to determine, I guess, to get really excited about it. I don't know. Maybe you guys know more about him than I do, but
I just know what I say. I mean, he's written those things, and Little Miss Sunshine was a good, fun, quirky little movie, but I don't know if I'd want that guy writing my multi-million-dollar masterpiece.
You have to hope Disney knows shit that we don't, and you have to assume they do.
I hope so. I'm sure he had to turn in a treatment of some sort. I think actually Spielberg said that he saw a treatment, so if Spielberg's behind him, then I'm sure it's fine. And Lucas is obviously behind him. Steven Spielberg?
No.
He did Close Encounters of the Third Kind, little shark movie called Jaws.
But didn't they say that he actually wrote treatments for the whole, like, the full 3 movies?
Yeah, for like 3 movies, yep. So
they like, at least if nothing else, they like what direction he's going with it. Maybe the general story arc for those 3 movies. Mm-hmm. Maybe the details, I don't know, but they got something to work with. But hey, like you say, they know more what they got, better ideas. They know more what they want to do, and they got more info than we have at this time. Just saying.
You guys have any other writers that you'd rather see doing this instead of him?
Damon Lindelof. That's a lie. I'm kidding. I don't want that.
You want an ambiguous ending?
Yeah, I want an actual ending. Not really. No. I mean, I'm sure he'll do fine. Look, I saw the Lucas written ones, and I'm sure Arndt will be fine.
I just can't believe that people were actually approaching people like Quentin Tarantino. Yeah. About, like, would you like to be the writer for these movies? And, he's like, no, I don't, I enjoy them, but they're that they're not my thing. There's no way I'm going to write a movie for Star Wars.
Yeah, they've been. I mean, obviously the media is all over it because this is the biggest story they've had in a while. Because otherwise, all there is Twilight and Bond. That's really all that's going on. So they're jumping all over it, and everybody's being mentioned as, oh, yeah, I heard they're talking to so and so. Like, they're not talking to fucking Tarantino. I promise you, nobody's calling Tarantino on that.
Django Fett.
Yeah,
the D is non-existent.
It's just not going to happen. So whatever. Sean Penn. Yes, that Sean Penn is in negotiations to actually be an action star, potentially, in his own franchise. Prone Gunman is an action thriller from Joel Lethal Weapon Silver about a gunman on the run after being sold out by his organization.
Apparently, old guys in action films is the new thing as of late.
It is, man.
I don't know. I hope this story gets more interesting than they're showing on the surface. I know I sound kind of jaded with that, but as I see more movies, I want something unique instead of, revenge movie. Mm-hmm. A guy going off and kicking ass and that kind of thing. This could be it, but I want more info. I mean, when we hear about these things early on, I have a hard time getting super interested until I see more information.
The thing I didn't like is it's Sean Penn. Who wants to see Sean Penn be an action hero?
Not
Spicoli kicking ass.
Yeah. No, he's more of a. Yeah, he's more of a drama actor in my head.
Yeah, he's much more dramatic, and I don't know. Unless Mr. Hand shows up, I have no desire to see this. But
Mr. Hand.
Wouldn't that be awesome, though? He's like, I got your pizza, fucker.
Welcome to Brian's Trailer Park. All right, this week the Earth is in for some deep shit. First, we have. First up, we've got The Host, which is a sci-fi romance novel by Stephanie Meyer that's been adapted for the screen. Now, not only do aliens, they're called souls in this movie, not only do they invade the Earth, they actually take over our human forms also. Now, the story follows what happens when one of those souls has a problem when one of the human hosts fight back. While the easy go-to would be to our resident sci-fi author, Justin, I'm going to go to Aaron.
Oh, sweet.
Are you afraid of the Twilight smegma so much that you will avoid The Host?
Wow.
Do vampires have smegma?
I'm not quite sure. I don't know what to say, first of all. And second of all, I watched the trailer, and it looks like a Nicholas Sparks movie with a little sci-fi twist.
With some cool contact lenses?
Yeah, I think it looks really bad. I didn't even think it looked even kind of good. And it's not like the Twilight. I think the Twilight movies look good in the trailer until you actually see them. But this just looked bad right off the get-go.
See, I went into the trailer without knowing that it was Stephanie Meyer. Mm-hmm. First, I don't know, 45 seconds, minute into it, I'm like, this seems kind of interesting. I've never, what's this? And then from the author, or from Stephanie Meyer, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
And I just...
What did that dude's abs look like? I didn't see.
Sadly, that, it shouldn't turn me off to that, because I don't want to discredit her authorship just because I didn't like her movies, but the story kind of intrigued me. I know you thought it sounded kind of stupid, but I like sci-fi stuff, and it looked kind of interesting. But
I think I've seen these Host movies about 1,000 times, so there was nothing new. I saw Starman, same movie.
Yeah, I want it to be good because I don't want to dislike her as an author. I really don't, but I can't go into this without that feeling, without that taste of Twilight on me. And I tried.
The smegma.
The taste of Twilight.
Oh. Green go, red stop, yellow go very fast.
What?
That's Starman.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck.
God.
I actually thought this looked kind of good.
Of course you did.
It had a little CW vibe to it, which wasn't quite as what I was wanting. But other than that, once the real sci-fi stuff started hitting, I'm a genre dude. I am a whore. I kind of dug it.
All right, well, The Host opens up on March 29th, 2013. And as if being invaded by aliens and taken over and all that kind of stuff wasn't bad enough, the zombie apocalypse is in full swing in Brad Pitt's World War Z, based on the novel by Max Brooks. Now, these ain't your Walking Dead zombies. These are like Jason Statham's Crank meets 28 Days Later type of zombies. They've run over armies, governments, and only Brad Pitt, UN warrior, can save us. Who's up for this one?
I'll take it. I was liking it in the beginning because I really loved that kind of, on the ground, in the real tone that it had. And it felt gritty and dirty, and it had none of that feel that most zombie movies kind of usually have. And then once the zombie stuff started hitting and things started building, it got even better because there's something about Brad Pitt being on the screen that kind of gave me this feeling like I'm okay. He wouldn't be in a shitty movie. But as soon as the zombies
Did you see
started,
Troy?
I like Troy.
All right, let's ignore that Troy ever happened. As soon as the zombies started building, flesh pyramids to get on top of buildings, I kind of checked out at that point because it went from an interesting show about survival and now, let's just break out the computers and generate as many images as possible that are supposed to be cool. But they kind of just take away from what makes zombies such a badass antagonist.
Yeah, some of those scenes I kind of thought reminded me of The Mummy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it was about it. Some of the Mummy movies
and shit from Lord of the Rings, where they're just climbing on each other, and they're all it lost that horror feel for me, and so I kind of checked out. But it's still, other than those moments, I did kind of enjoy what I was seeing. So I'm still interested, but now I am guardedly so.
See, I feel just the opposite about the negative things you're saying about it, because we've seen zombies, the lumbering zombies, we've seen the sprinting zombies. If you're going to make a zombie movie, do something different. I kind of like that aspect of it. This kind of movie, you guys all know I love disaster movies. Anything we got that sense of dread, it just kind of washes over you, and that fight for survival, I'm all about it.
Ever the optimist, huh?
Yeah, you know me. And Brad Pitt, I love watching that guy.
Which is funny because you love like musicals, which are really the opposite of a disaster movie.
Well, it depends on the musical.
If you could put the two together somehow, wow.
A zombie musical.
Yeah, it's called the lyrics are really easy to memorize.
Hey, in the wind. Oh, wait, that's a different one. Sorry. That was Nell. My bad.
I'm exactly with Justin. I hate to admit that, but the movie was, the trailer looked really good until you start seeing the piling up zombies, and I was like, what the fuck? That looks awful. Now, I don't mind the concept. Like Scott likes the concept. I like the concept. I just think it looks really bad.
Yeah, I will say that.
The special effects look awful. I mean, it looks like it was done on somebody's home Mac.
Well, didn't they say this is the one we talked about, had a bunch of rewrites, and they went back and reshot a lot of the movie?
Well, apparently they redid it on their iMac because it shit looks bad.
Yeah, my iMac is pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, then I bet you could do better special
iPad.
effects.
How's that?
Like when you're bringing up The Mummy, it looks as bad as The Rock does at the end of The Mummy Returns.
Oh, that was so bad.
Yeah, it looks like so that bad.
He just has this constant snarl on his face. It doesn't move.
Oh.
All right, well, World War Z will bite you June 21st,
Really?
2013.
Did you just do that?
You started on such a high.
Bitch, I'll bring the smegma.
I was going to say, Schmegma was a high note?
Yeah. I didn't see it coming.
Let's bring out the nut cheese. That's all good.
Shit.
Oh, man. All right, well, if there's... All right, well, if there's anything you want us to take over or invade, send us an email at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com, and you can reach us a few other ways also. Our Twitter handle is @H_outsider, and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Hollywood Outsider, where you can post comments, questions, and catch some interesting news bits and stuff. Don't forget, you can get your official Ima HO t-shirts at thehollywoodoutsider.com, and there's only a couple of days left, so please go to podcastawards.com and vote for us, your favorite movie podcast.
It's probably the 15th is the last day, so you probably listen. If you're listening to this on the 15th, fantastic, go and vote. If you listen to it on the 16th, ignore what he just said, and continue listening.
There you go.
Let's go to the big screen. It's time to review Skyfall. Justin, what is Skyfall about?
All right. Now, Skyfall is the 23rd spy film in the James Bond series. And it features Daniel Craig, who, of course, is playing James Bond, and Javier Bardem as Raul Silva, the film's antagonist. It was directed by Sam Mendes, and, of course, it hosts a variety of writers from John Logan to Neil Purvis and Robert Wade. Before we get into this film, as I was researching it and going through it, I found some interesting little bits of trivia that I thought I would pepper into here real fast. This is actually the first time that an Academy Award-winning director has directed a James Bond movie. Never before have any of the directors had an Academy Award. In 50 years of James Bond films, Skyfall is actually the first one that shows James Bond suffering a gunshot wound. Never been shown before. Most of the James Bond movies have either been titled on Ian Fleming's books, short stories, or things relevant to him, such as GoldenEye was the name of Ian Fleming's home in Jamaica. There now remains only 4 unused original Fleming titles that could possibly have been used to title this film. They're The Property of a Lady, The Hildebrand Rarity, Rosico, and 007 in New York.
That sounds awful.
Right. So Skyfall is actually the first to not be related to any previously published Ian Fleming's James Bond short story or novel. The last bit I was going to give you is that Skyfall is the only ever Bond film where the team provided the title. So I thought that was kind of interesting. There you go. But the Skyfall itself starts off with MI6 agents James Bond and his associate, whatever you'd call her, Eve, a fellow agent, assisting on a mission in Turkey to recover a computer hard drive stolen from a murdered MI6 agent that contains details of almost all undercover NATO agents in terrorist organizations. Bond and Eve have to chase this killer down to regain it. During this, Bond gets wounded, presumed dead. Months later, MI6 has an explosion that M sees, and James Bond has to come back out of kind of his own little retirement to stop what's going on. We've all seen the trailers. We all basically know what's going on at this point. Brian, what did you think of this? Oh, God, that's right. You didn't see it yet. So sit on the back seat. The big boys have got this one.
Wow.
Wow.
Try not to get any schmegma on you while you're back there. Scott and Aaron, first, what did you think of Skyfall? Overall, was it as good as the previous two? In the middle of those, how did you feel about it? What did you leave? What was your thoughts?
I did
Aaron,
enjoy
you go first, because Scott just fucking started talking. I gotta defy him.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know why.
Honestly, it's the closest to the old Connery Bond films I've seen, and especially to the novel. So I really like the direction they took. The film ditches a lot of the Bond tropes of the last couple decades. So it's not another mindless explosion fest like the Pierce Brosnan era and most of the Roger Moore era. Bond is back to being like a sleek killer with, a mind for king and country. And I love that they went back to that, because those are the kind of movies that I wanted to see again. They don't really make them anymore. They just stop because, today's audiences are too ADD. So I truly love that the movie went back to its roots, even though it meant a little bit less action. The movie had a lot more story. We got the closest we're ever going to get, I think, to a Bond origin story. They do come somewhat. There's some little details in there if you pay attention that'll kind of give you some more insight into who Bond is as a character. As well as I think the film does a really good job for setting the tone for future movies and relating it back to the characters from the books. So I really love the direction they took in the story. Scott, what were you going to say before Justin said you couldn't talk?
I did enjoy the direction they went with it as well, like you said, but I'm not sure why I didn't enjoy the story quite as much as Casino Royale. Probably I can't tell you why. That's a movie that I've seen several times, and I enjoy so much of the twists and turns in that. I really like what they did with the twist on the relationship between Bond and M in this one. That was like fleshed out in a really interesting way that I haven't seen in any of the other ones. There were some slight slow parts, but not anywhere near enough to bore me whatsoever. Just doing some development and that kind of thing, but it wasn't really a bad thing. It's just a little tedious in spots, but overall, I love the direction that it went, like you mentioned.
I liked it a lot. My wife unfortunately left the theater not really caring for it as much. This film is probably, like Aaron was saying earlier, the least action-packed of all the Bond at least the 3 Bond movies that Daniel Craig has done. There was a lot more focus on story and acting, and so because of that, there was a distinct lack of, car chase after car chase, shootout after shootout. And, my wife is a huge fan of just bullets flying and shit blowing up. She said too much talky, not enough shooty. That's her. I liked it quite a bit. I love the interaction between Daniel Craig's Bond and Dame
Judi Dench.
Jesus Christ, I cannot believe I forgot her name. Yes, Judi Dench is M. They're the first time, really, that I've ever felt any kind of a connection between M and Bond. In all the previous movies, M's just the crusty old guy who gave Bond the orders and off Bond went. But then suddenly in these 3 films, there's a relationship there. And I love that got played out to a nice conclusion in this film. It was really enjoyable, and I liked that. I love the introduction of Q. I thought that character was fantastic. I didn't realize that he was one of the actors in
Cloud Atlas.
Until he started talking, and I was like, oh shit, I know that voice. I heard that quite a bit. So that was kind of nice. But all in all, it was a nice, more story-driven Bond film than we've seen recently, and I'm glad to see that. I hope they continue that. I really do. Now, as far as the acting does go, I think we're all going to say Daniel Craig did an amazing job, or a more than serviceable job. But what did you guys think of the rest of the cast?
Scotty, you can go first.
Well, I'll start with the easy one. Javier Bardem as Silva was absolutely stunning. It was one of the creepiest villains I've ever seen in any movie, much less a Bond movie. I didn't like his hair and eyebrows. They were very blonde, but I don't think you're supposed to. I mean, I think that's part of the character. He just made him look so creepy and unsettling. His performance was brilliant to watch. Every time he was on the screen, I'll use your phrase, he ate up every scene that he was in. And what did you think?
Same. I thought Silva was probably one of the rare memorable Bond villains. There haven't been a lot of memorable Bond villains for actually a long time. I really can't. I think probably Sean Bean from GoldenEye is really the last one that I would say is memorable. The rest of them kind of sucked. I even
both of those villains were former 00 agents.
Yeah, well, that's true. Good point. He is honestly in the top 5, I think, for me, of all the Bond villains so far we've seen on screen. I think he did a great job. And the reason that I think he did such a good, and obviously I don't want to keep talking about him for 20 minutes, but he takes the screen and instead of trying to scare the Jesus out of everyone, he dispenses the villainy with kind of an innocent rage, I guess is the best way I can play it. Where it seems like he's come across as a child, but he's really vicious and angry, and hurt, but in a childlike way. It's kind of odd the way he played it, but he did a great job. I really thought he was going to come out and do like a No Country for Old Men kind of performance like he did in that film, and it's nothing like that. It's completely its own thing.
Right.
The Bond girls did what Bond girls do, which is get busy with Bond and either die or get in the way. I do like Naomi Harris as Eve. I think she had a nice, sweet, flirty charm, and it took me a while to realize that she was that creepy voodoo bitch from Pirates of the Caribbean. Didn't realize that. And Judi Dench, for my money, perfect them. I don't care if she's not a woman in the books. I really don't care what that character was. She's more man than any of these fuckers on screen.
She has got balls.
She's got more balls than even Bond does. And Ralph Fiennes, I thought, was nice to have him pop up.
Or Rafe,
Rafe,
whatever.
Rafe, you know what? It's spelled Ralph, so we're going to call him Ralph. He did a great job, too.
Well, your name is spelled Aaron.
It is.
Yeah, I loved Javier Bardem's character, and I loved that subtle homosexuality that he had, that he kind of played up with Bond. It gave him a vibe and a flavor that very few villains have. And what I especially loved about his character, though, is that what he was after was not what almost every other Bond villain is after, which is either global domination, global submission, but whatever it is they're after, it is huge and it is world impacting. In this film, it is singular and it is personal. And I like that focus in on a goal that is very much to the heart of this character and has nothing to do with $1 billion.
I will dare anyone, speaking before you move on, that once you once you do see Skyfall, if you don't somehow see a correlation with The Dark Knight, I would be shocked.
Yeah.
I would be shocked. I honestly.
Well, Sam Mendes did say that the Dark Knight films were a definite motivation for these films, and where he drew a lot of flavor from. The last thing I'll bring up about the acting, though, you mentioned Bond girls. You did not mention, though, Berenice Marlowe, who plays Severin in this film. I thought she, not only is she an incredibly beautiful woman, but the performance she brought, that just subtle quivers to her lip of fear about who she worked for and what she had to do, and just those little glimpses of hope in her eyes when she thought Bond might be able to do something to stop this guy. It was just a really magnificent small performance, because she didn't get unfortunately a lot of time in the movie. I wish she would have been in it from beginning to end, but she was, I thought, fantastic.
She's very charismatic. I'll give her that.
Yeah, I liked her quite a bit. Now, as far as the production quality goes, you already mentioned that the film does have a distinct kind of feel of The Dark Knight, and Sam Mendes has said as much. But all in all, what did you think? Stunts, special effects, direction, the whole thing.
Overall, that's where it's a Bond movie. I think Sam Mendes is a great choice. He elevated the film into almost Oscar caliber. It doesn't seem like a Bond movie, so if you're a big Bond fan, it doesn't seem like it. It seems like this movie could be its own film and not even part of the Bond franchise. So I think it's kind of a 180. It's very much a Dr. No, Goldfinger era kind of Bond flick. It's not like anything you've seen recently. So I think he did a great job. Great job.
I know that, Justin, you said your wife walked out because there wasn't enough action and shooty, like you said. I sort of agree, just on the realm that I wanted just a little bit more action, not nearly to the level that your wife is talking about. I think I wanted more of the awesome set pieces, like the train scene and the motorcycle chase and the kind of stuff that make you go, "Oh wow, that was cool."
Yeah, I'll agree. There weren't nearly as many action scenes in it, but it was a more personal film. But yet it also had a larger scope to it, and to just the visuals on the screen than any other Bond. So in that respect, I think Aaron's completely right. This did not look like your typical Bond movie. It looked better. And it looked bigger. So I enjoyed it quite a bit. So all in all, I think we've avoided spoilers pretty well. What did you guys think of this movie overall? If 1 out of 10, $1, $0, what would you spend to go see this movie?
For me, it would be $8.50. It's one of the reasons I go to see movies. Bond movies are fun in general, but Skyfall takes the franchise to an even higher level of quality than Casino Royale did. Even I like the story in Casino Royale better. I liked the movie even more after I thought about it, days after my initial viewing. And I would have liked to have seen maybe 1 or 2 more memorable action sequences, like I said, but that's just a minor complaint.
I think, simple terms, it's your father's Bond. If you're a huge fan of the Roger Moore and Brosnan films, it's probably going to be a little dull for you. But for me, it was a nice return to form, to the dangerous and classy Bond that I remember as a kid. So, great action story, acting, and a wonderful villain. So, 9 out of 10 for me.
I'll meet you guys in the middle. I'll give it 8.5. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I do think I like the Casino Royale type of Bond movie a bit more than I did this one, but I love the story, and I love finding out what Skyfall was. It was an interesting thing, and if they keep going in this direction, I'm not going to be upset about it. It was fun, and all in all, I really liked it. So there you go. I think we were incredibly positive about Skyfall.
Absolutely.
Given the take that it's gotten the world over money-wise, it's a lot of people are liking it.
Yeah, nice segue. Skyfall, over $500 million worldwide so far.
Damn.
So far. And to put that in perspective, the biggest Bond movie ever, which is Quantum of Solace, made $591 million total worldwide. This one's going to make, they're projecting $800 to $900 million, which is just huge, which I think means people might like this kind of Bond a little bit better.
Well, he's
Well,
slated
do you
for 2
think,
more.
though, that it has to do with the fact that it's been 4 years?
I do think that has a big factor, but I also think the response from fans and critics has been pretty overwhelming too. And I think after Quantum of Solace, Actually, I think if Quantum of Solace would have been a better movie, you would have seen that reaction then. But because of the fact it was kind of it wasn't bad, but it wasn't the strong Bond movie they were hoping for, I think that really affected it. So
I did forget to ask you guys one thing, and then we can completely move on from Skyfall. What did you guys think of the song? Because the opening songs are just so integral to Bond movies. Did you like Adele's Skyfall?
It was okay. I didn't really care one way or the other.
I liked it. I had the song in my head after a while. It was catchy, but it wasn't as memorable as some of the ones in the past.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I do like Chris Cornell's "Say My Name" from Casino Royale.
That was
better.
good.
I forgot about it the minute it was over. So honestly, it didn't really sink in with me. Wreck-It Ralph held on really strong with 33 million, so it's made 93 million total. It should be cracking 100 million right about now.
It only dropped 32%.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And Flight actually dropped only 40%, made 14.7 million. It's made 47 million. They didn't expand it like they said they were going to. I can't believe they didn't. The movie's making buku bucks per theater, and they just didn't expand it. But
so it didn't take off.
Yeah. Wow. And just so you guys know, Hotel Transylvania cleared 140 million, and a sequel was announced. So you will get to hear more Dracula voices somewhere along the way.
Oh, they're not going to do Hotel California?
No. Really?
All right, folks. We have got 4 movies to talk about this week, all of them coming out on November 21st. But the first one, actually, we talked about it last week because it did have a small opening release. Silver Linings Playbook expands to a nationwide release this week. We're just going to be brief on this one. This is a new film with Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence. After a stint in a mental institution, former teacher Pat Celentano moves back in with his parents and tries to reconcile with his ex-wife. Things get more challenging when Pat meets Tiffany, a mysterious girl with problems of her own. We were all kind of fairly mixed on this one. Mm-hmm. The next one is Life of Pi. This is a 3D adventure film based on the 2001 novel of the same name by Yann Martel. This film is directed by Ang Lee, based on an adapted screenplay by David McGee and Martin Solveig. Interestingly enough, M. Night Shyamalan once was attached to direct this, but he decided to do Lady in the Water instead.
Wow.
Good call there, Shammy. Suraj Sharmi plays Pi, who's a 16-year-old boy and the only person to survive the sinking of a freighter. He finds himself on a lifeboat with an orangutan, hyena, a wounded zebra, and a Bengal tiger. I'm guessing that the tiger eats the rest of those animals because I've never seen those in any of the trailers. Or Pi eats them, or I don't know, maybe they share them. Either way, I wouldn't get too attached to that orangutan. That's all I'm guessing. Now, Brian, you strike me as a worldly man who's probably shared a dinghy or two with a farm animal. So does this movie get you excited to hit those open seas again, or would you rather just play pretend with a goat in a bathtub?
Well, I have. It's funny that it wasn't so much a goat, but it was a few sheep in the bathtub. Yeah. Figured. So yeah. Actually, this movie does. I've seen a few trailers, and there was a little clip that was seen at the beginning of a movie a few months ago, and this movie in 3D looks like a lot of, I don't know about so much fun, but it looks very beautiful. And for that reason alone, even though it's Ang Lee and he just does not appeal to me, I still want to see this. This movie just looks beautifully shot, and if it's a beautiful movie, then I will go see it, even if the story maybe lacks a little bit. So,
see, I feel just the opposite. Although I do think it looks pretty, it looks like it's going to be trying way too hard in the story department to keep my interest at all.
No, I'm with Scott. You almost couldn't pay me to go see this. I am so not wanting to see it. It looks just beautiful and boring as shit. I just don't care. Nothing about this looked interesting to me. Nothing. Outside of, wow, there's a tiger in the boat. I'm sure that'll be exciting for 2 hours.
It reminded me of a less interesting Tom Hanks.
Castaway?
Castaway, like a less interesting Castaway.
Yeah, it's getting wonderful reviews. So obviously, Scott and I are the minority.
Opinion, yeah.
But
this does look like the type of movie that critics, those real critics who actually get paid to do this type of shit,
Not us.
that they would just love to do, or that they would just love to watch it, and that they would just eat this thing up, and but it doesn't translate into a commercial success. That's what this looks like to me. That it's a movie snob wonder piece, but general public probably won't appreciate it.
Justin, what do you think? You seem kind of like somewhere in the middle.
I'm more Brian on this than you two. It looks fantastically gorgeous. I like Ang Lee quite a bit. Forgiving the Hulk, I like a lot of what Ang Lee has done. I think he has a very unique perspective when he puts the camera down. So as much as the story doesn't seem all that interesting, if he was interested enough in it to want to make it, then that kind of makes me interested to want to see it. But I don't know if I'm buying a ticket that first week out, but I think it looks more interesting than you two guys do.
Fair enough.
All right, our second film, or actually the third, is Rise of the Guardians, and this is a 3D computer-animated fantasy adventure film based on William Joyce's The Guardians of Childhood book series and The Man in the Moon short film by Joyce and Real FX. It's directed by Peter Ramsey. Joyce is also executive producing along with Guillermo del Toro. Rise of the Guardians stars Chris Pine, Alec Baldwin, Hugh Jackman, Isla Fisher, and Jude Law. It will be the last DreamWorks animated film to be distributed by Paramount Pictures, as DreamWorks has signed a 5-year distribution deal with 20th Century Fox. So for all of you out there that need that Paramount Pictures logo in the beginning, this is your last chance. Now, Jack Frost, who's voiced by Chris Pine, is a carefree boy who has no responsibilities in the world aside from bringing winter wherever he goes. But everything changes when Jude Law's Pitch, the Nightmare King, begins his plan to engulf the world in darkness. The Guardians, which is a tatted-up Santa Claus, voiced by Baldwin, the Tooth Fairy by Fisher, and the Easter Bunny, Hugh Jackman, and the Sandman, who I don't even know who does his voice, enlists Jack to join their group to help stop Pitch and protect the children of the world. Aaron, if there's anything that'll get a lot of kiddies walking past your pedo van to the movie theater, it's got to be Santa Claus. So are you going to be taking advantage of this target-rich environment?
Yes. I really want to see it. I think this actually looks kind of fun. I don't really get into most of the holiday classics and whatnot, but there's something about taking it and turning it on its ear a little bit. Having a tatted up Santa Claus, I'm sure it's one note and maybe it'll get old in the first 10 minutes, but it looks fun, so I want to check it out. One thing I don't like about it is that Jack Frost looks like that creepy little bastard from Game of Thrones. That little King Joffrey, whatever, King Freaky, looks like him. Don't like him. So they should change his look before that movie comes out.
I'm with you. I do want to see it, but I want to see it on Blu-ray.
Wow, because that amazes me, because I could have sworn I was like the only guy that had any interest at all in seeing this earlier this year. But
holidays change people, Brian.
I love I just want I want a movie poster, because I love the shot where all you see is Santa's rolled up sleeves and his arms and gang tats that says naughty and nice on his forearms. That's freaking awesome. I don't even care what the rest of the movie is. I just want to see that.
Brian's like the easiest target demographic ever. I want to see tats on Santa. I'm in.
I didn't think I was a smart man.
But I know what love is.
I got no interest in this. I don't know what it is. DreamWorks has yet to make a movie that really, outside of the very first Shrek, to really just kind of blow my hair back and make me go, wow, Pixar is not the only company that can do this. But other than that, they've never done anything that really just kind of blows me away. And after watching Brave last night for the first time, got it on Blu-ray, and just being so bowled over by how goddamn good that movie was, it's made me even less interested in this, because all the trailers paint nothing but a paint-by-numbers kind of kid movie. Brave was fucking awesome. This one does nothing for me.
Okay, what's next?
All right, last one, Red Dawn. Now, this is an action film directed by Dan Bradley.
By your dad?
Yeah, written by my dad, the asshole. Based on the 1984 film of the same name, it stars Chris Hemsworth, Josh Peck, another guy named Josh Hutcherson, Adrian Palicki, Isabel Lucas, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan. The remake was announced in May of 2008 and went into production in September of the following year. The film was originally supposed to be released in November 24th, 2010, but was shelved due to MGM's financial troubles. The invading army was changed from the Chinese to North Korea in post-production. The film is about Spokane, Washington, becoming the initial target of a foreign invasion. Under enemy occupation, the town's citizens are taken prisoner. A group of young people, calling themselves the Wolverines, after their high school mascot, band together in the surrounding woods. There, they train and organize themselves into a group of guerrilla warriors in order to liberate their town. Now, Scotty, you've already said that you want to see this, much to the dismay of the rest of us, so I'm not going to harangue you again. All I ask is that you tell me how in the fuck North Korea gets the stones to invade the United States to God bless America.
Especially when Texas is bigger than North Korea.
Yeah.
I have no idea. All I know is I want to see it. It looks fun. Screw you guys.
Screw you guys.
That just the set pieces of seeing.
That's your argument.
Yep.
Oh, come on. Like, you guys don't have movies that you go see just because they're fun. Come on. It's got paratroopers. It's got planes crashing. It's got high school kids fighting back. I'm stoked. I don't care. Grab me a bucket of popcorn, like Brian says, and sit back and have a good time.
That's fair enough. I'll let you out. Fair enough, Scott.
Bring out, stomp on it, kick it in the trash, and watch me a film. Gotcha.
Exactly.
Okay.
Either of you two want to mention anything more about you not wanting to see this?
I'll probably end up seeing it because Scott wants to see it, and I'll have to go just to see if it's...
No, I'm going to movies
That's because
alone
you'll feel
now.
bad for letting him go to a movie by himself.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad when he's always going by himself. Always on Facebook. Please, somebody go to a movie with me.
Like twice that happened.
It's more than it's ever happened to me.
This is a pattern.
Yeah, exactly. And they say that I'm the creepy one. I like the original. I mean, the original kind of cheesy. It's just going to be really hard for me to take it seriously that North Korea attacked. Now, it made more sense when China was originally supposed to attack, and then they edited it because, I don't know, now we're friends with China, and they want it to be shown in China.
And they own, what, AMC theaters now?
Yeah, so
there's a problem.
Let's not bite the hand that feeds us.
That's so funny. So
yeah, I think if it had been left to China, I might have actually been a little more interested, but this just seems such a weak-ass change to make.
Yeah. And you've got Chris Hemsworth, like him a lot. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I think he's great. Everybody else, it's like a combination of some of the worst actors I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and isn't Chris Hemsworth going to look younger than he did in Avengers?
I think so.
Yeah, because they actually shot this over 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But MGM or whoever it was that's releasing it went bankrupt, and they had to wait till they got all that stuff straightened out. So, yeah, this movie should have actually been out at least 2 years ago, if not 3.
And plus, they had to change the nationality because during that time they changed it from China to North Korea after they had already filmed it. It takes a while to make Chinese people look Korean.
All right, well, before we go too far down that racial road, let's take a break here and say which of these 4 films do we want to see this coming week? Is it Silver Linings Playbook, The Life of Pi, Rise of the Guardians, or Red Dawn? Aaron, go first.
Well, I picked Silver Linings Playbook last week because it was a limited release, and I really want to see it, so I'm picking it again. Fuck you.
That'll work, Scotty.
Wolverines!
All right, Brian.
I like pie.
Justin?
I got to go with Silver Linings Playbook. These other I'm sorry. I know Life of Pi looks beautiful, but just, I don't know. Jennifer Lawrence on the big screen again.
Yeah, works for me. Wouldn't you guys say that this is probably the weakest slate of Thanksgiving movies that have been out in some time?
Yeah, this is not pulling me away from my turkey.
No. I'm like, I got to check and see what's playing on football that day.
I was going to say it's not pulling me away from football.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot, Justin. You can always hear us on iTunes, Zoom, Google, listen on your Stitcher Radio app. Give us a thumbs up if you do, or any RSS feed, and RockfordCollegeRadio.com, Thursdays from 4 to 6.
What's this movie?
What's this movie? Each week we play ours or our listener-suggested clip from a movie, and if you think you know what the clip is, email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com or send us a direct message on Twitter at @H_outsider, and we will announce those that got it correct on the air and give you a proper HO shout-out. We will be having the T-shirt giveaways back here soon, so, don't fret. Eventually we will be giving stuff away, but thanks to everybody that keeps entering. We appreciate it. Last week's answer was Scott's choice, and it was Bruce Almighty. Those that got it correct were David C., Ben M., Dan M., Sue S., Michael W.H., and Jeff in New York. This week it's Justin's turn, so if you think you know what this clip is, email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com. Those that guess it correctly will give you a proper shout-out next week. Here's your clip.
Do you expect mercy here? What would you do if I were captive in your kingdom?
I would remind you of Article 17 of Ming's law. No prince of Mongol taken captive shall be offered for ransom without first being given the right of trial by combat.
Is there such an article?
I'm afraid there is.
What a damn nuisance. Yes, and, who do you choose to fight?
Him.
All right, there's your clip. Now let's go to TV home video news. The CW is developing a series out of the Jane Whitefield Vanishing Act book series about a young woman who runs a private investigation/eraser company.
What the fuck?
It's called Veronica Mars.
Did she get one of those, the sets that you get at the bookstore that has all the words on magnets and just threw the shit at a board and whatever two words stuck together? That's what I'm going to do in my book about, oh, look, P.I. Eraser Company. What the fuck does one have to do with the other? Except that I don't know. It sounds like, I've never read the books. I'm sure they are just delightful novels. But the premise itself just sounds ridiculous. I don't understand. I no interest. No interest.
And by eraser company, they do not mean pencil erasers, correct?
From what I read, yes.
Really?
It was an eraser company, yes.
Oh, that's
now, in
dumb.
one article, the eraser is in quotation marks as though it's not actually, but in another one, it just says eraser company.
Oh, I thought it meant
So it's not about like making somebody disappear, like
Yeah.
a woman she's being beaten by her high-profile husband, and so she wants to go on the lam or something.
If that is indeed the true story of this, then Thomas Perry, I owe you an apology.
I think that is the story, man. I don't think it's actual pencil erasers.
Well, what the fuck is an eraser company?
I don't know.
I mean, you are an eraser. Do you actually have employees and staff?
You hire Schwarzenegger, and he comes in and makes you go
yeah,
away.
that's what I was saying.
I mean,
with
if you're in a,
he did have that rail gun. That was kind of awesome.
you're in a big city, you kind of, I'm sure there's more of a need for it than, say, redneck, short, small town, South Georgia or Texas.
Well, let's go back to Justin's idea. Let's do a TV series based on somebody who owns a pencil eraser company.
But see, that sounds like a quirky comedy.
And they just go around fixing people's grammatical errors.
Oh, man, get on Facebook. You would never stop.
All right, well, that's coming, so get excited. And it's coming on the CW, so like I said, Veronica Mars. Just bring that back. That's really all I know.
Oh, God, please. Yes.
The TV season is now in the November sweeps. We talked a couple months back about shows that were catching our eye before the fall season started. Well, now it's been a couple months, actually. So what new shows or shows in their second seasons that are finally finding their footing or sticking for us? Brian, you can start.
Yeah, for me, the first couple is like Revolution, which is starting to grab me a little bit more. It's kind of slowed down after the first couple episodes, but it's starting to grab me a little bit more. Last Resort, kind of the same thing. And but really, kind of there's two that's comedies that are actually kind of surprisingly funny, and that's Chandler from Friends. What was Matthew?
Go on.
Go on. Is that one, and it's funny, it's quirky. I mean, it is a 30-minute sitcom, so it's canned humor basically type of stuff. But they tie up every episode with a little sweet moment. That's pretty cool. And The Neighbors, where you have Jamie Gertz and her husband and family. What it is basically, they move into this neighborhood, and the whole neighborhood is inhabited by this alien group, and they all have crazy names. They've all taken names of famous sports athletes. So, you have a Jackie Joyner Kersee and their little wimpy, long, stringy, almost feminine little white kid named Dick Butkus and stuff like that. It's goofy, but surprisingly funny.
It sounds really awful.
It's
Sorry.
It's not highbrow humor by any stretch of the imagination. It's silly, and if you go into it watching it like it's silly, then it's not bad. But if you go in there expecting really clever writing and all this other stuff, you're going to be sadly disappointed.
Well, I would tell you my favorite new show, but I bet you it's going to be the same one Justin picks.
Actually, the other day I had to make a decision.
Uh-oh.
And my decision was that from now on, I am not going to watch any new show until it has either A, gotten a second season guaranteed, because I'm tired of watching shows that go one season and then get canceled off for whatever reason, or B, well, I guess this would be in addition to that, and get really good word of mouth, because I am tired of watching one season of a show and it just kind of sucking. So, unfortunately, that means that a lot of talk about Revolution or Last Resort or any of these other TV shows, I'm not going to be able to engage in as much as I wished I could, but I'm tired of wasting time watching shows that either don't go anywhere or get cut out from under me. I am so behind on everything in my life. I had to find somewhere to kind of cut back a little bit. So brand new shows are kind of where I'm cutting back. As far as seasons in their second season, or shows in their second season, one show that is continuing to impress the fuck out of me is Grimm. It's like every episode, it just kind of gets a little better and a little better. It's staying strong. The only even halfway comical aspect to it is that Asian cop. That motherfucker is everywhere. He is get your coffee, and then he's going to be there with you at the crime scene, finding evidence for you.
He's going to be handing you something that came off the fax machine, and he's already going to be there half solving a case before the main two guys show up.
He's like the only cop in all of Portland, Oregon. He is on it like a motherfucker. I'm telling you. But it is a fun show. And I love that they didn't spend this entire season once again hiding who our main character is from his partner. And so you get another season of the partner being too stupid to figure out something weird's going on. They completely did away with that. The partner knows, and it's amazingly good. I also really American Psycho, or I'm sorry, that would work. American Horror Story Asylum, fucking fantastic.
I started watching that too. I love that show.
Absolutely amazing what they're getting away with on TV.
Yep.
And The New Girl, second season, it is still a funny sitcom. In fact, it's the only sitcom I'm watching right now.
Big one for me that stuck with me for brand new season is 666 Park Avenue. I'm actually really digging that one. It gets the intrigue on that one is really keeping me on the hook on that one. I feel just the opposite about Last Resort and Revolution as Brian does. I've lost all interest in both of those. I have no desire to go back unless it has a stellar ending that I can sit down and watch them all back to back. I'm tired of trying to keep up with those. I just can't do it.
Fair enough.
Well, 666 is probably one of the main reasons I decided to step back a bit. I'm afraid that show is not going to get another season, and I refuse to waste hours of my life watching a season of a show setting up a mystery that will never, ever, ever be resolved.
Well, you liked Lost.
Don't fucking go there.
Okay, well, mine, Arrow. I think Arrow is a kick-ass show. I'm actually surprised how much I like it.
I've heard great shit.
You haven't watched it at all?
I've seen the first pilot episode, and it was really cool, but I haven't gone back to it yet.
Oh, it's really good. And Vegas, which you already knew that was coming, but it's turned into much the opposite kind of show I thought it was going to be. It's very serialized. And for CBS, that's fucking amazing because they don't have anything that follows from one episode to the next. And it's already got the full season. I'm pretty sure it'll get another one because it's bringing in the viewers or whatever. But I really like that show. I think it's clever. And Scandal, I watched. They had the first season was like 7 episodes, and they actually complete that storyline in that 7 episodes. And their second season, it's really become a really solid show. A really interesting concept. It's something a little different, a little original. I like that one quite a bit. So those are the ones I have. Now let's go to DVD and Blu-ray, Scott.
All right, we're looking at the week of November 20th. We've got 4 releases. The first is The Expendables 2. We've talked ad nauseum about that, and you can hear both Brian and Aaron's review of that on episode 56. Second, we've got Bringing Up Bobby, which stars Mia Jovovich and Bill Pullman, as well as writer Famke Jensen. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Sure, it's close enough.
It's her first time writing. I thought that was kind of interesting. Tells the story of a former con artist who must choose between her former life of crime and the man she loves, or the betterment of her son's life. Santa Paws 2. If you love talking dogs and you love Christmas movies,
Who doesn't?
you'll love Santa Paws 2. And lastly, Transformers Prime Season 2, the TV show, animated TV show, is also released that day.
Ooh, yeah. Hit me with that unknown shit. Flashback.
Next, we'll go up to our Flashback DVD and Blu-ray segment. This is where each week one of our hosts recommends a little-known or obscure film that we hope you'll give a chance. This week, it's Brian's turn. So, Brian, tell us your movie.
All right. The name of my movie is called Headhunters, and it's actually came out last year, 2011, but it's foreign, so I know not many people have seen this. So I'm going to recommend it here. It's about a guy named Roger Brown, who happens to be Norway's most successful headhunter. Now, while he is confident in his job as a corporate recruiter, he is a little bit more neurotic in the rest of his life. He's a short, homely, and, he's pretty much self-confessed all this stuff right at the beginning of the movie. But basically, he's a short and homely kind of guy, and basically the only way he can keep his tall, beautiful wife is through money. So he has a great job, but it's not enough to supplement that stuff. So he's got to pick up a side job, and what does he do? He steals art. So when Roger gets wind of a potential mark, things begin to kind of start spiraling downward. He suspects the mark, who's played by Nikolai Coster-Waldau, who's Jaime Lannister from Game of Thrones, another Game of Thrones reference there. He suspects him with not only trying to seduce his wife, but trying to kill him also. So Headhunters was kind of a pleasant surprise. You know, if you can handle the subtitles, and if you like a thriller that's got a dash of dark comedy added into it, the tension just kind of keeps growing as the walls close in more and more for our hero. And it's kind of full of pretty inventive ways of getting out of one tough situation, but of course you end up right in the middle of another. This movie, I would probably, if I had to score this on our 1 to 10 scale, I mean, I would give this a strong 7, maybe even an 8. It's just very, very good. It was one of those good surprises that you stumble across on Netflix. So, like I said, you can find it on Netflix and check it out.
I will check it out. Now let's go to our From the Outside In topic. This week, Robert Downey Jr. proved that you could turn your career around. The question we're going to ask, what Hollywood has-been should the silver screen give another shot to? Scott, you can go first. Who's your pick? Who used to be somebody and now is nobody?
Well,
Richard Grieco, so to speak.
Richard Grieco. Oh, that bad? It's got to be that bad?
Well, it doesn't have to be that bad. I mean, that's pretty bad.
I've got some that have done some stuff, but not necessarily good stuff. Sam Neill. I think he was a lot of fun to watch. I mean, obviously the easy go is Jurassic Park, but he was great in Hunt for October, Event Horizon. I'd like to see him, and he's really aged gracefully. I think I'd like to see him come back. I've also got this is where I'm kind of cheating. Cuba Gooding Jr. He had so many. You
want to see Cuba Gooding Jr.?
He's a great actor. Look at some of his earlier stuff he did, and then Snow Dogs happened, and Boat Trip happened, and I know he was in Red Tails earlier this year, but nobody saw it.
Yeah.
So the other one kind of reaching is Rachel Lee Cook. She was if you remember.
Oh, I like Rachel Lee Cook.
Yeah, she's really cute, and she was a really good actress too. And She's All That, and that movie with Ryan Felipe, the
she was
Antitrust.
in Psych for like a season as his girlfriend.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Well, man, I meant to go back.
Finally, there's a reason somebody can watch Psych.
So those are my 3. I'd like to see more of those 3.
I thought about this topic quite a bit, and for the life of me, I was really having kind of a hard time thinking of any actors or actresses that I really, really liked, yet for whatever reason haven't seen a lot out of them lately, and I couldn't come up with hardly any names. There's there's always your John Travolta, who I thought, he had a great career, then it kind of went away, and then he came back with Pulp Fiction, and he really seemed to be running on all cylinders, and then I'm not quite sure where the wheels came off, but it just kind of ground to a halt. And granted, some of his personal life issues have been in the news, and that doesn't seem to have painted him in a really good light or made him a lot of friends. But I think the guy, when he's given good material, really knows how to deliver a good performance. And so, I'm always happy to see him on the screen. I'm not sure when Snipes is going to be getting out of prison, but when he does, I'm hoping that there are going to be some Hollywood agents outside those gates ready to give him some roles, because I think the guy, especially if those roles have the name Blade in it, because the guy's fantastic. But the one actor that really kind of came to mind, and he's starting to have a little bit of a resurgence, but for whatever reason, it's just taking longer than I thought that it would. But it's Jean-Claude Van Damme. The guy really in the 90s just had an amazing rise, and then it just kind of collapsed out from under him. I don't know if that shitty Street Fighter movie had anything to do with it, but he just kind of disappeared for a while. And then all of a sudden, JV's CD came out. The critics loved it. I thought it was fantastic, and I was really kind of hoping it would be the beginning to a new career. I know he was in Expendables 2. I heard he was quite good in that, though I'm sure if the RZA had been in it, he would have blown everybody away. And he is in that new Universal Soldier film that I think it went just directly to demand in video, but the trailers I've seen for it, he looks like he's playing a really the villain of the thing. His character's gone the way of the dark side. So I would like to see Jean-Claude Van Damme get a resurgence in his career. The guy is not the greatest actor in the world, but I think he's got a unique screen presence, and I think he definitely delivers some pretty solid action moves. So, I'd like to see it. But most of the actors I like are actually working quite a bit. Or if they're not working in front of the camera, they're working behind it.
When somebody dies, they're laid in the hospital, and they're looking bad, and then for one day, everything turns around good for them. It's like
sun shining.
Yeah, they're clear, they're lucid, they're answering your questions. They say, "Hey, I'm feeling good," and then they go back to sleep, and then they die. So that's Jean-Claude Van Damme. This Expendables run, JCVD, the Expendables again. Maybe this other little Universal Soldier bit. This is his last little spike before he finally just dies in Hollywood.
Wow.
So.
Oh, sad.
I hate to crush your dreams, but hey, sorry.
Okay.
I'm here. Dream killer.
What do you got, Brian?
Val Kilmer. I mean, I don't know why he's...
You fuckers are taking every single one I had. I should have went first.
This is why you don't go last.
Try to be fucking nice about shit, and I always get screwed.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I really like Val. Even to this day, I still like Val Kilmer and his 400 pounds that he's grown into.
I'll be your Huckleberry.
But, and he still has that charisma and that charm that I just don't know why he doesn't get better roles. But he ends up in all these movies with these second-rate rappers and stuff, and I just don't get it.
He burned himself because he was a very difficult actor to work with. He got a little too full of his talent.
Hammering spikes into a board with his penis.
Yeah. He's referencing Real Genius.
Oh.
So he caused a lot of problems. He was very difficult to work with, so a lot of people stopped working with him, and the roles started to dry up. Then you end up in MacGruber and doing 50 Cent movies. That's what happens. That's what happens. Anybody else? No, Brian, do you have anybody else?
Oh, I thought you were just skipping any other potential ones I might have.
No, I was.
So
that's why I asked.
Like that. But
Fuck
anyway, Christian Slater.
God damn it!
Is there like a webcam over Aaron's
You want to come
shoulder?
look? Scott can even look and verify this. Fuck, 3 out of 4 that I have. Go ahead.
I'll just go with one more. I know this one's not on your list, but it's a personal favorite. But Anthony Edwards, I've always liked him. I think he doesn't necessarily have to be a leading man. I think he's much better as a supporting actor. But I would just like to see him get a little bit more love in the movies and or TV.
Goose Man.
Okay, yeah, Goose. Okay, well, I had Christian Slater. He's done some pretty shit DVD movies and a couple failed TV shows, but his acting's actually improved a lot over the past couple decades. And I think he's one of those. He'd be a really strong supporting actor in some big screen roles. Van Damme was on my list. I think if you saw Expendables 2, you kind of get what I'm going for. Give the guy a real big-time villain. I think he'd eat the screen up, and I'd love to see him go up against like a Cruise or a Will Smith. Val Kilmer, lose some weight and give the guy a shot. There's my third one. And my last one, yeah, you could all go to hell. My last one is Andrew McCarthy. I
had Judd Nelson. That's funny.
Well, they're close. They can be in the same movie. Andrew McCarthy, he still has that sweet charm, and I've seen him on a few TV series where he's a really good villain because he has that sweetness about him, so he comes across well as a prick if he really needs to. And I think give him another shot, Hollywood. Judd Nelson, I'm not so sure about. I think they've given him enough. Really.
And he was a good hot rod.
He was, and he was actually, there's a movie called Relentless he did that was a real low budget where he was a serial killer, and I actually liked him quite a bit in that, but.
Yeah, I forgot what movie. I'd seen him in something where it was a real small bit part, but he was like a real asshole and kind of played it pretty well. Of course, of course, I think that's really about the only things that he's really played well.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, you are what you are. Let's go to recasting the classic, Justin. Real quick, explain what that is.
Recasting the classics. This is a new segment that I came up with.
You're going to say that every single week, just so people remember that you came up with it.
This is my idea, guys.
I might.
Just a reminder.
In this segment, we hoes are given a film and 5 actors or characters. Let me rephrase that. Given a classic film and 5 characters that our fellow hoe has to take and recast with modern actors. They can go as close to the original or as far away as they want. They just have to be able to defend their choice. Last week, I recast Casablanca, and then once I was done, I stuck an arrow straight through Aaron's heart and said, recast Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. I asked him to recast Indiana Jones, Marion Ravenwood, Belloc, Major Trout, and Dr. Brody. So, Aaron, I'd like to know first, how long did it take you to put this list together, and then how fucking difficult or painful, I should say.
A couple of them were pretty easy, and one in particular was kind of hard, which would be kind of the main guy.
Save Jones for the end.
Oh, I will. Well, first we've got a listener that sent in their choices, and since he was pretty detailed in his list, I'll read his email. Nobody else has seen this, so you guys don't know, but this is from Tom B. For Belloc, I think Stuart Townsend would be magnificent. He's got that perfect kind of deceitful class to him and arrogance abound to play the character, and he's built small enough for me to believe he's the kind of character who would rather have hunchmen and Nazis do his dirty work than actually get something done himself. For Marion Ravenwood, he said her overall performance can never quite measure up to her introduction, so I tried looking around to find an actress capable of being a tough woman without seeming too cheesy. Jennifer Garner would be his pick. Interesting choice.
Not bad.
Brody to him, and Tom, forgive us, we had to edit a little bit for time, but Brody to him seemed like a no-brainer, Tom Wilkinson. And I'm not talking about the gangster Carmen Falcone, Guy Ritchie movie gangster, aging badass Wilkinson. I'm thinking more like Ben Franklin and John Adams' side of Wilkinson. To compensate for his age, maybe kind of portray him as a collegiate mentor of indies from his childhood. That's interesting. Mm-hmm. Major Tote also seemed like an obvious choice to me. I'd have to go with Paul Giamatti. He's just goofy looking enough to hit all the right nostalgia chords with fans of the original. And judging from his work in movies like Shoot 'Em Up, he knows how to play a pretty bitchin' villain. Now here's where he gets a little homoerotic. For the main event, I think considering factors of action movie appeal, gruffness, physique, grasp on subtle humor, and the ability to look good in either leather or a suit, the role would have to go to Hugh Jackman. All I can think about whenever I think about recasting Indiana Jones is this. This is where it gets homoerotic. When I was a kid, a friend's mom gave me this Indiana Jones poster. This particular poster showed a shirtless Indy with a bullwhip in his hand in the middle of a jungle. I absolutely love this poster. I remember this poster, and yes, that means that you might like boys if you like that poster. But I didn't realize until much, much later in my life how homoerotic that image of a shirtless man with oiled up abs grasping a bullwhip was.
Can you say that slower?
No, I could for $20. Well, I was looking through movie posters as I do and saw a very similar poster featuring Hugh Jackman from Wolverine standing in a foggy industrial facility, greased muscles, rugged expression, and looking at that poster, I thought, that doesn't look too bad. That sounds pretty gay. So, those were Tom's choices. Thanks for sending it in, Tom. That you put a lot of thought into that, man. So, congrats. My choices for Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, which, by the way, the movie's fucking name is Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's not Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. I don't care what George Lucas says. He's a son of a bitch for trying to change that. Belloc.
I didn't know it was an issue.
I take it personal. Belloc. Are you ready, Justin?
Uh-huh.
Okay. My first choice was actually Jean-Claude Van Damme. Believe it or not. He was actually my first thought was Jean-Claude Van Damme. But I thought about it and thought, it's 2012. We need a little bit of diversity. I went with Idris Elba as Belloc. I don't think it has to be a Frenchman. I think let's shake the character up, make him somebody with some charisma, but also can play a good villain. I think he can nail it. Major Tao, Benicio del Toro. That's who I pick because he can play a wicked villain, and he loves those kind of roles. Dr. Brody. This might be a little quirky. I went with John Cusack.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did. I think as he's older, he's a little bit more astute. And actually, I saw him in The Raven, and I thought, I think maybe he could pull the professor. And it was honestly the hardest one I could think of because there was just my only second option was really putting Harrison Ford in there for a little nostalgia. I really couldn't think of anybody better. I'm sure you can. Marion Ravenwood, I had Kate Beckinsale. I thought that was probably one of the most obvious choices. That was the first name that came to my mind and the last name that came to my mind.
It's a good name to come to your mind, though.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
No, oh Jesus Christ!
Oh, don't get all high and mighty on us.
Yeah, exactly. Now, for Indiana Jones, who I would pick for Indiana Jones, I thought of every fucking actor I could think of, and by the way, none of them deserve it. Bradley Cooper comes to mind as a pretty easy choice, I guess. But my pick would be Guy Pearce. After watching Lockout again, actually it just popped up. I was on Netflix and I watched Lockout again. I'm like, you know what? He can pull. I've seen this guy play as dark a character as possible. He can play as smartass as possible. He can play somebody that's profoundly confused. I mean, he just plays everything perfect, and he has charisma up the ass, and he's got the look that he can pull it off. I thought he was a perfect choice. So what do you think?
Not bad. That's not bad. I like all your choices. I think your Brody choice is terrible, but I don't have an alternative because I actually didn't come up with any. But Guy Pearce as Indiana Jones, not bad.
And plus, I think he's not one that's so recognizable it would distract you.
Right. And as much as I like Hugh Jackman, I think the entire time I was watching it, I would be thinking, oh, that's Hugh Jackman, not Indiana Jones.
Exactly.
Whereas your choices could blend in. So, yeah, I like that.
I think you had the same problem with Bradley Cooper, too. It might be a little on the nose.
Well, actually, with him, I thought, I've seen him play serious, and I don't think he's charismatic. He's not the same kind of charismatic. Harrison Ford created that character, so that character is very much a serious archaeologist with a little bit of sly wit. He's not jokey. He's not really a jokey character. And Bradley Cooper, I think, would play him more jokey, where I think Guy Pearce can do sarcasm.
He's got the charm, though.
No, he's charming, but Guy Pearce, I'm convinced that, especially after when I watched Lockout again, I'm like, man, he's the guy. He really is the guy.
That was a pretty cool movie.
Yeah. So next week, it's going to be Brian's turn, and then I get to assign it. You ready?
Please say Deliverance.
I'm not. Please say Deliverance. Here's your assignment. You ready, Brian?
I'm ready.
Okay. I want you to recast The Godfather.
Oh.
Oh,
Ooh.
I want you to recast Michael Corleone, Sonny Corleone, Tom Hagen, Captain McCluskey, and Don Corleone. Got it?
wow. Captain Okay. All right. That's an odd one, but okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to throw a little different one in there because otherwise it's just all gangstas. Get something, just something clever.
All right.
Can you do it?
Piece of cake.
That's what I thought. It's not.
I got this, man.
All right, let's go to email. First, I've got a couple email. Actually, I've got one that you guys don't know about, so came in late. First one, hey guys, thanks again for a great show. Thanks, Aaron, for sitting through Man with the Iron Fist for me. By the way, RZA, not good. Russell Crowe, awesome. I was looking forward to it, but specifically waiting to hear your thoughts, and I'm glad I waited. Won't be wasting that money. Well, I probably will be wasting that money, just not on that movie. So thanks, Jeff in New York. Appreciate it, Jeff, and you were right to wait for me because I let you know. RZA, not in front of the camera. Stop it. Second one, in relation to this week's From the Outside In discussion, this is the finishing part from Tom B. I have not necessarily wanted to see a prequel, but would love to see Martin Scorsese remake Mean Streets. It's one of my favorites, but watching it, it's so painfully obvious that it's a film directed by a man who is still handling the ropes, still learning how to build a cohesive narrative and achieve a seamless pacing. I think it would be astounding to see what Scorsese could do with that title, knowing what he knows and having the skill set he has today. Thanks for a great show, fellas. Keep it up. Your pal, Tom B. Scott, what do you got?
Hi, guys. I'm on the run between meetings, so this is short and to the point. Bruce Almighty, keep up the great work. Thanks, Dan. It was short and to the point.
It was to the point.
And Bruce Almighty. Also, I think I won a T-shirt a few weeks back. I'll leave my address below. If it wasn't me, sorry and never mind. Yes, you did in fact win, Ben, so we will... Aaron actually emailed you again, so he'll get that out to you soon. Continuing with Ben's email, I love what you guys do and listen to you every week. Thanks for making my Thursdays a little bit better, Ben.
And by the way, we do have your address, so we'll be stopping by. Have a nice day. Brian? Brian?
Howdy, boys. Whenever I find myself in front of a bowl of tomato soup, I try to part it. If I should win the T-shirt drawing, please pick another name. I have my Ima HO swag already. I enter only because I like to be right. Being right is the best. I like the recasting segment. Good call, Justin. How about doing The Godfather or Gone with the Wind? Thinking about recasting is fun, but I hope that neither ever gets reduxed. No, Scott, reduxed is not a real word, which is good for you because you can pronounce it however you want. Yay! Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Jesus.
Keep up the great work. It is always appreciated, Sue. And Sue, as you probably just heard, we will be recasting The Godfather next week.
And by the way, I had actually picked The Godfather because I know it's one of Brian's favorite movies before Sue sent that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, well, that's what story I'm sticking with.
Mm-hmm.
Justin?
All right, well, I've got two emails. The first one is from Kristen D. She says, I just heard this week's podcast, and I cannot thank you all. Figured I'd save Scott from another excruciating y'all. Enough for the outtakes. First of all, someone please get Justin some orange drink. Second, get it, Brian, the new rap master in his house. Last, if I may make a recommendation, perhaps a little Ice Ice Baby to kick off the winter season. Thanks again, movie guys. I was laughing so hard I had to close my office door so as not to make a spectacle of myself. You are all the best. Kristen D. And our second email comes from Ashley. She says the movie clip was from Bruce Almighty. So I haven't emailed you in a bit, and for that I'm truly sorry. That being said, let's just get straight into the trash talking. Aaron, what the deuce was going on with your repetition during your Man with the Iron Fist review? Aggressive? You were clearly really passionate about your opinions regarding the film, and that's always appreciated. Netflix, it shall be. I love the new segment, and I'm waiting very patiently to hear how Indiana Jones is cast. Should be quite interesting. I loved hearing everyone's thoughts on the new Casablanca cast. I agree for the most part with all of the selections. And she ends her email with a question. She says, I have a question for you guys. I recently saw Looper, and I'm not trying to spoil you, which she does, but I won't give you that part. I'll just give you her question. She wants to know if our perception going into a movie about what we think it's going to be about changes how we think about the film at the end. For example, Drive. I thought it was going to be a high-speed action flick, and it wasn't. It took me 3 viewings to fully appreciate the film, and I don't think some people ever ended up coming around. So, for you guys, Do you feel like you go into movies with expectations, and when those expectations aren't met, does that change your perception of a film? And if it does, for the better or for the worse?
Drive, absolutely. I thought that was going to be an action movie, and I went and saw. Well, I actually liked it a lot, though, because it was different than what I expected. But yeah, if the marketing pitches me an action flick and I go and see it and it's a hard crime thriller, which is what Drive was, then yeah, I don't blame people for being angry. Mm-hmm. Brian was mad at it. I didn't blame him. I mean, he was wrong, but I don't blame him for it. But Looper, what you see in the commercial is only the first small portion of the movie, so you really don't know what the movie is about until you go see it. And that was a nice surprise because it was like a whole different movie than what I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. So I think it really just depends because some movies it works to your advantage and some movie to the detriment. My experience.
I can agree with you. I think that a lot of movie marketing departments suck, and they do a terrible job of trying to translate to an audience what a film is going to be about in a minute and a half. But that said, I do think a lot of people spend a lot of time coming up with what they think a movie's going to be about before going into it, and I really wish people would judge a movie, a TV show, whatever, based on what it is, as opposed to what they thought it should be or would be. Though as human beings, it's kind of hard to do that. But
yeah, it's really hard because all you have to go on is the marketing. I mean, you can't, we can't see all the movies and just get lucky. We kind of have to fall on reviews and trailers and word of mouth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let's wrap up. But before we do, we have some breaking news that Scott and Justin and Brian all want me to share. So Tom Hardy was officially cast in the Splinter Cell adaptation at Ubisoft. So they're going to make a Splinter Cell movie based on the game, and Tom Hardy was signed to star. But there's no director, there's no script, anything else. So it's really early. But if you guys are excited that Tom Hardy got a franchise, there you go.
More than just him.
The Battleship director, what was Peter
Berg? Mm-hmm.
Wasn't he originally tapped to direct this?
He was in talks a long time ago, but nothing ever happened with it. So
I don't know. If I don't hear Michael Ironside's voice coming out of Tom Hardy's face, it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment.
I agree. But he does have a good bellow. He's got a good, strong voice.
Mm-hmm. As long as he keeps that mask off.
Yeah. You can always stay through the credits for outtakes. Go to our website, thehollywoodoutsider.com, where you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/thehollywoodoutsider. Email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com. Tell your friends, subscribe on iTunes, Zoom, Google Reader, listen on your Stitcher Radio app, or any plain old RSS feed, as well as Rockford College Radio Thursdays from 4 to 6. Brian Williams, thanks for being here, man.
My pleasure, man. Enjoyed it.
I know it is. Scott Clark, you want to real quick explain what Child's Play is?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Child's Play is a charity that's put on by the Penny Arcade guys. What they do is they provide toys and video games for children that are kind of stuck in the hospital over the holidays. You can reach the charity at childsplaycharity.org. They actually even let you go to the different hospitals' wish lists and pick out specific items that the kids have asked for, and you can donate directly. It's all tax exempt, and it's all nonprofit as well, too. So.
And what are you doing?
I actually have a community of gamers from another website that we all get together every year and kind of pool some resources and kind of give as a community. So special shout out to those guys, including Justin, who's already donated, and it's all for a good cause, and it's a lot of fun, and good feeling. So. And
the link isn't going to be in the show notes. So if you feel like being generous to some little Billy in the hospital who wants to play a Wii U, there you go.
Well, hold on.
Oh, Lord. We don't need 5 minutes on it, brother.
We don't, but Scott is seriously underplaying the generosity of what he's doing. And I know he does it because he's a humble son of a bitch, and he doesn't want to draw too much attention to himself. But what he's doing through this particular thing that he's set up for Child's Play in the forum that we all hang out with, and hopefully that link will be passed on to everyone, he will take whatever you donate and he will double it on his end. So if you donate $10, he will match you with $20. Folks, this is for kids. And somebody as generous as Scott has been year in and year out of matching and double matching contributions of others is really an impressive display of charity and giving on his part. And he never really brags about it, and I admire him for that, but someone should brag on his behalf. Scotty may not be the smartest guy on the show, But he's got a heart of gold, people.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So donate and make the sucker pay.
All right. Okay, and Justin McCumber, whose new book, Minor Magic, will come out on December 3rd.
Yes, sir.
All right, so he's going to be a published author of 2 full-length novels now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, pretty soon you're going to be a little too big for your britches there, pal.
Well, it needs to be made into a movie. This one could easily be a movie.
Well, let's see if we can get it done. Hollywood, if you're listening, Justin McCumber, A Minor Magic. Make that happen. And then I want a commission. Okay, keep an ear out for our James Bond Skyfall spoiler cast, which is going to go up this weekend. So it'll be a little bit about all of James Bond, a little bit about the new movie. So listen for that. Next week, we are going to be reviewing Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2. I might even go see it. And
Not me.
You never know. Scott's not going, but we know Brian's going. And also to Skyfall, so maybe we'll have a couple things to talk about. And a new From the Outside In topic. If you guys got anything you want to suggest, feel free to email us. We'd love to hear what your ideas for a topic are. And more in the next Hollywood Outsider. So the next time you go to a theater, from all of us, buy popcorn.
Smegma.
Little baby, bitching, screaming, whining. The victims pay the price eventually.
Stop laughing. I didn't know the mics were on.
I'm like, oh God, please let Aaron be recording that. Please let Aaron.
Like I said, didn't know the mics were on.
It's kind of the best time. It's like when people don't know the cameras are on, all of a sudden they're, 2 knuckles deep up in their nose.
2 knuckles deep.
Light it?
Can you light a cock? Well, I mean, if you're going to smoke it, you have to light it.
I don't know. If you suck on it fast enough, it might get...
You get rug burn cock. Scott just got here. Do you want to, just unplug your router and plug it back in and then come back on while I go grab his dumbass? It's not my fault you got internet in the fucking hills.
Okay. You've been here. You know we ain't got any fucking hills. We got flatland swamp,
true.
bitch.
I'll be right back.
All right, me too. Diva.
It's funny because if you come on after McCumber, I don't think it happens, but it happens if you're on before McCumber. It makes no sense.
Because I come on, I start sucking up the bandwidth like a hoe.
Scott's contributing to No Shave Movember, or whatever the hell it's called.
Uh-huh.
And he looks like the biggest fucking pedophile you've ever seen in your life.
I forgot all about. Damn, it's been a year since that.
Yeah.
Golly.
Yeah, November comes around once every year.
For a solid month, I've got to look at pink towels, pink tennis shoes, pink wristbands, pink jerseys, all this other bullshit on the NFL for breast cancer. But there's nothing for prostate cancer or testicular cancer, nothing like that. We get a fucking mustache for a month. I'm just saying, it ain't right. I love me some boobies. Don't get me wrong, and I hate me some cancer, but I'm sorry.
I hate me some cancer. Oh, God, don't get him started. I'm in the top 20 of my nation.
It's 10.
Why did he sound Indian when you did?
Rolling up in my 5.0.
And rain.
Joy. Come on.
Oh, pump it up.
Benny.
It's so funny when you hear
Come on.
the
Here
song.
we go. Sunshine and rain. I say, joy.
He's even got the percussion.
Come on. Like sunshine and rain.
Woo! Here we go.
Y'all.